Today, we're diving into the powerful opening of one of the 20th century's most important novels, Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man. You know, the prologue isn't just an introduction, it's the entire philosophical framework for the story. And wow, does it all start with one unforgettable line? Right there. I am an invisible man. Just 6 words, but they carry the weight of an entire existence. It's a declaration that immediately makes you sit up and ask, right? Is he a ghost? Some kind of science fiction character? No, not at all. The narrator is grappling with a much more profound and honestly a much more devastating kind of invisibility. See, this invisibility isn't physical, it's social. He's unseen because people flat out refuse to see him. Instead, they just see a collection of their own stereotypes and projections. They don't see a real person with his own thoughts and feelings. His actual identity is just completely ignored. And that brings us to the root cause of his condition. It's not a problem with him, but with the world around him. Let's look at a really clear example he gives. So the narrator tells this story about bumping into a white man who insults him. When the narrator reacts, which is totally justified, the man doesn't just refuse to apologize, he refuses to even acknowledge that the narrator is there. And to top it all off, the whole incident gets twisted in the press. This sequence is a perfect, painful breakdown of how his very existence is denied step by step. And this isn't just about one rude person on the street. No way. It's a textbook example of what's called systemic erasure. It's when an entire society, because of its ingrained biases, structures itself, from media reports to just daily interactions, to consistently deny your reality, making you feel like you don't truly exist. And here's this fascinating metaphor the narrator uses. He doesn't see people as being intentionally cruel. Not exactly. He sees them as sleepwalkers, just completely oblivious to his reality and the incredible damage their collective blindness causes. So, how does a person respond to being systematically erased by the world? Well, the narrator's answer is to retreat. He goes underground. But his withdrawal is anything but a simple surrender. It's something else entirely. He goes into what he calls hibernation, hiding out in this forgotten, sealed-off basement room in an apartment building. It's a symbolic detachment from a society that has no place for him. But what he does in this room is just fascinating. He gets really specific. He tells us this number, 1,369. What in the world could that possibly mean? That's how many light bulbs he has rigged up in his underground room. He's actually stealing electricity from the building above to create a space that is just blindingly bright. He needs this intense light to confirm his own reality, to prove to himself that he is physically there, even when the world tells him he isn't. And this sets up one of the book's most important symbols. Light isn't just about illumination. It's about truth. It's awareness and self-knowledge. Darkness, on the other hand, well, that represents the ignorance and the sleepwalking of the society that erases him. He is literally fighting darkness with light. But light isn't the only thing that sustains him in his hibernation. There's also sound. Specifically, the sound of jazz. The narrator feels not just unseen, but formless. Can you imagine that? Society hasn't just denied his identity, it's made it hard for him to even grasp it himself. And music, he says, is what helps give him shape. He has this amazing idea that time isn't a straight line, it's a boomerang. The past is always circling back and crashing into the present. And that's a lot like the structure of jazz music, right? Where different themes and improvisations loop and layer over each other. So, jazz becomes his lifeline. It helps him connect to his own history, to weave the fragmented pieces of his past and present into some kind of coherent whole. The music gives him a continuity that society denies him, and it allows him to reflect and begin to finally understand himself. And this brings us to the true purpose of the whole prologue. You see, it's not just a story of despair, it's actually the beginning of a pretty profound journey. And this is absolutely crucial to understand. His hibernation isn't a defeat. It's a strategic retreat. It's like he's hitting pause on the world's crushing expectations so he can finally begin to figure out who he is, but on his own terms. The prologue just perfectly sets the stage for the rest of the novel, which is actually the story of his past. It's a journey about fighting stereotypes, searching for a real identity, and critiquing a culture that tries to force everyone into some neat little box. And so the prologue leaves us with this huge question that echoes from Allison's time right into our own. When a world refuses to see you for who you are, or refuses to see you at all, how do you find the light, or the music, or just the courage to define yourself? That is the journey Invisible Man invites us to witness.